My intentions for this episode is not for anyone to feel like I'm taking sides, anyone to feel like I'm making excuses for black men, not for black men to take this like, see, this why I'm like this. This is not an excuse. This is me bringing light and conscious awareness to the issues and the oppressions and the conditioning that we have been subjected to for centuries that is creating a dysfunction within our community and in our relationships and tearing apart the black love dynamic. And as we transition out of dysfunctional relationships, out of quote unquote trauma bonds as they want to label it, or generational patterns and ancestral wounds and codependency as they label it, or narcissistic energy, all of these toxic type of relationships, I want to just kind of, my intention is to bring a level of understanding and compassion to black men and why they cannot heal and why this is systemically in place within our spirit and our minds to keep it going and to keep repeating these cycles. And the only way you stop a cycle is through awareness of it. And so that is my main focus and main goal of this episode, not to focus on. And so it's a trigger warning. So I want you to calm your ego down, because you are going to probably feel triggered, especially if you're a black woman, like, she just another woman is defending the nigga. No. I've experienced my own share of relationships that have been toxic and abusive, but like I said, I didn't take it personally, because I know that we are products of our environment. If we're not consciously aware, we're just unconsciously reacting to everything that is happening to us, not realizing that the ways that our ancestors and our parents have been conditioned and the things that we've seen growing up, things that we've seen modeled in our face has impacted the way we behave, the way we get triggered, the way we get upset, the way we see each other as black women, black men, mothers, fathers, whatever. So this is just kind of like bringing light to a lot of the reasons why, in the spiritual, on a holistic level, a lot of the reasons why we're continuously having these toxic relationships instead of the divine partnership that we were meant to continually have. We had that before we were stripped of everything, and I'm trying to get us back to that place. So hopefully you can see that, and I hope I'm being objective enough for everyone to feel that it's not a blame game and it's not an excuse. You know, black women have been carrying the burden of trying to heal the black man for centuries, but it's like at some point we have to give them the accountability and not pick up the slack and the responsibility that their mothers have played for them. You know, as a mother of a black mother of a black son, I do understand the need to protect, because we have been socialized to fear the lives of our sons and our black children, especially black men, because of all the media and the depictions of us getting killed and slain, and the biggest, strongest black man being slain, to kind of create this effect of fear of what can happen to us, my little old boy, my little old me, little old son, daughter, whatever. So we inadvertently, or unintentionally or unconsciously, we coddle our children, we enable them, we overcompensate and do these things to kind of protect them. But really what it's doing is not giving them the proper tools that are going to help them survive in this society of gender roles and responsibilities, and not actual tools that'll help them persevere and succeed, not allowing them to take accountability, and we have our own unconscious biases. As black people, we don't trust a lot, and we do feel like the world is against us, because sometimes it really is. And so we can project that onto our child, like say, always making them feel like the victim, or even when they do something wrong, well, it's because of this, and it's them, it's their fault, it's your teacher's fault, it's the school's fault, it's this person's fault. It's never their fault. And instead of giving them constructive ways of how they can deal and regulate and manage their feelings, because a lot of us didn't know ourselves. I just learned about self-regulation a couple months ago. And so this is why I'm saying, it's okay to humble your pride and say that you don't know nothing, that you did not have the tools, because we are all just now, a lot of us are all just now embarking on a healing journey and trying to shift out of these generational curses and patterns and heal these generational and ancestral wounds and childhood wounds. But I don't really focus too much on our childhood that much. I mean, I do mention it, because it's important, but I don't like to focus the blame on that, because that is part of the plan. And I'm not about dividing and conquering and putting the blame on your family when we know the deeper roots, the actual roots is slavery and colonization and oppression and systemic oppression. So that's what I want to focus on. But I'm going to go down some lists of different ways besides what I just said about, maternal roadblocks of why black men cannot and have not healed thus far. Rise and shine your light in opulence, solution seekers. It's your girl, the spiritual activist, coming to you with another word, message, spot of wisdom, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so today I want to kind of revisit, divine masculine energy, and not in the sense of not in the sense of, everyone has it, but in actually activating divine masculine energy within men, black men specifically. But I kind of want to go into the emotions that are hard for black men to deal with, and in venturing or transitioning, transcending, whatever you want to call it, into adulthood, parenthood, manhood, spousalhood. There are a lot of emotions and tools and things that you have to come into, and you have to think about it. Women are a lot of times conditioned from basically childhood how to be a mother, how to be a lady, how to be a wife. All of the tools that we need, some limiting, yes, but the ones that are pure survival, we get those. You know what I mean? And a lot of times for men, they don't have a lot of conditioning because either, they're not being taught, or they don't have a male figure around to really absorb it, because some boys don't absorb information from a woman the way they would absorb it from a man, a father, a male figure, So as they get into these roles and these responsibilities, these positions, they bring forth a lot of pressure, a lot of fear, a lot of overwhelm, a lot of overstimulation. These are like all new emotions that they never really had to deal with, in a sense of like, I can't escape it. You know what I mean? Like, as a kid, as a teenager, they probably can, that emotion can start to arise in their body, and they do something to deflect or cope or, ignore, suppress, repress, whatever you want to call it. But when you're a father, when you're a husband, you can't escape it. When you have a wife barking down your neck, nagging you to do what you're supposed to do, or you have a child, daddy, needing you for regulation, needing you for protection, whatever. You no longer can escape it. And honestly, they can't handle these emotions, rightfully so, because if it took us 25, 30, 35 years to get a grasp over something that is like, overall, as a gender, we've been, conditioned to in our lineage and just ancestry, like, you know what I mean? We have a lot more experience in the realm of the family dynamic, you know what I mean? Like, just being the matriarchs or whatever. And just like matriarchs are important, patriarchs are important. Just like maternal instincts are important, paternal instincts are important. But people, I know we use the term instincts, but instincts are conditioned as well. And that's something that we're lacking, and it's constantly being targeted. You have to ask yourself, the races and the genders and this whatever that are mostly oppressed, why? What power lies beneath the most oppressed? There is something there for you to want to oppress this group of people for so hard. You get what I'm saying? And so the black male is a very powerful being. And now with so many mass awakenings, I feel like men are starting to really understand why they've been so suppressed or oppressed. You know what I mean? And that knowing needs to continue to be instilled in our young boys, our young black boys, because first of all, there's nothing around visually, media-wise, resource-wise, very, very minimal in a positive, compassionate, graceful light for men to retreat to, as far as how to be a man, how to be an adult, how to be a spouse, how to be a parent, all these aspects that are life skills. And, you know, this is why a lot of times, like I always say, if men knew how to validate themselves and didn't carry so much hurt and pain, they would not inflict that onto their families. If they knew how to be more self-aware of their emotions and the stressors and felt comfortable and safe with their women without feeling demasculated or emasculated, whatever the term, I may be saying it wrong, from their women, because of the way that the women are being conditioned now to hold men up to a standard or expectation that they can't even breach with all of the systemic oppressional oppressing systems around them, and them being used as the scapegoats of abuse and trauma on the black family, when really they're just carrying that massa mentality of dominance, corruption, conquering, entitlement. You know what I'm saying? Like superiority, these mindsets, patriarchy, whatever. These are all programs that men have been programmed with to be the scapegoat of the bigger system. It's not even patriarchy to me. It's more supremacy. Like, it's got to be a new term for it. Because in that mindset, we're programming ourselves to hate men continuously. And the way we're going, it's almost like we're trying to make men obsolete. You know, make, like, spiritually, what's the word? When dinosaurs extinct. It's like we're trying to make men extinct or something, and useless, or I can do it all by myself, I'm an independent woman, yada yada yada, I'm a mama and daddy. Why would you want to brag about that? Why would you want? I get it as far as empowering yourself, but why can't we get to the actual roots of things instead of the surface that feed our ego? America is so superficial and always wants to get the surface that we can never really get to the roots of issues. And see, like, what is the agenda behind why we carry these notions and narratives? Why? Ask yourself. The more you get to the why, the more you're going to bring yourself together.
Turn left onto Torrey Chase Boulevard.
You know, as a spiritual activist, I'm always thinking about the spirit of the Black African American or indigenous person, their experience. And one thing that I've noticed is that things happen for a reason. And like, as we notice the mass awakenings happening within a lot of Black women, you know, the divine feminine energy awakening, trying to awaken at least, that's more of our higher self. In turn, you have to go through the wounded feminine energy to get to that divine feminine energy. And so, in that, the divine masculine is going to be awakening soon. I mean, it already has started, but I feel like there is going to be more of a, like, how can we say, like, more obvious experience that we can see. And that's happening because we have to think about the ancestral spirit. And, you know, it's kind of hard to advocate for men as a woman because a lot of women are like, they feel like you're discrediting their experience. And I totally don't. I'm a Black woman myself. I understand the struggles that a lot of Black women have gone through, you know, being in their masculine energy not out of choice, but out of necessity to survive and to provide for their families, you know, because the Black male has been so heavily conditioned and programmed and used as a henchman for the monster mentality, for dominance, control, toxic masculinity, even though I hate all these labels, carrying the narcissistic spirit, not an essence of who they are, their soul, so women kind of have had to step up and be the man and the woman in a lot of life situations. But for the men who did do what they were supposed to, and the ancestors and the grandfather spirits and of the men who did carry the torch and who were in their divine masculine energy and who did provide for their family, so self-sacrificing that they, it was almost so much of obligation that they were not recognized as well. And that's the issue with the wounded feminine energy as well, as that mother and as that father. And this is deeper into more, the household, the provider, not necessarily teenager kids, that energy, but more of as we get into the black family and, black relationships, more on that phase of life. So it's like, the men that never got their flowers, the men who work day in and day out, 12 hours, hard physical labor. Yeah, they may not have been able to be around emotionally and give emotionally, but what a lot of people don't understand is transcending worldly views. Money is energetic currency as well. Money is providing an energy of love. That was their way of showing their love, was through providing. That's all they had the capacity for in those times. You know what I mean? Just like providing and nurturing the household and cooking and cleaning and yada yada, the stereotypical gender roles of a woman, that is also energetic currency. That's just as valuable as dollars. And a lot of times I think there are things set up and put into place that are designed to divide and conquer the black male and female dynamic, the divine feminine and divine masculine dynamic, when in actuality, if you think of yin and yang energy, that total balance comes from that divine masculine and divine feminine, bringing that to the table and connecting it. Yes, each of us has a little dot of the other in us because we have the capacity to feel whatever role we have to feel to maintain and survive. But the, how can I say, supreme design, as you want to say, or divine design is for us to come together as one and not try to be the role of something else. God didn't make mistakes, and God created certain energy for a certain reason. And I feel like now we're transitioning. Either way, the attack has always been on the divine masculine energy and, the male, because that is a very, very powerful energy. If you think of like the sun, Ra, it is literally bringing life to things. And so when you kill that energy, when you kill the power, that solar plexus energy, you're left dim. Like there's no power, that light. Like think of a machine, an old school like machine in the factory, and you have like that furnace going that's powering it up. When you dim that light and when you put that furnace out that's making that machine go, what happens? The machine no longer is working. Yes, the divine feminine energy is very powerful as well. It is actually bringing the life into the world. But what ignites the light? When you think of God, God is like, it's going to sound so weird, but I'm using like an analogy. God is like the sperm. It's actually what's used to create the life. And the womb. So God is like the essence, let there be light. And then the womb is like the earth. The earth is like the energy of the womb. And so it's like carrying that energy and bringing that energy into the world. But what started it is that divine masculine energy. And so that's just as powerful as the same. But what is happening is there's this battle because both the male and female are feeling unappreciated and not, having their flowers and feeling burnt out and feeling this competition between the ego and, media is always perpetuating this failure, the dynamic between the male and the female, and making it seem like women do more than men and men do more than women. And there's exceptions to everything. There's deadbeat men, there's deadbeat women, there's sorry ass niggas, there's sorry ass females. It's just simple as that. And what we need to focus on are the ones who are actually doing what they have been called to do and take on the roles that God has put them in a place to be in. The rightful roles, you know what I'm saying? And so there's just a lot. And I feel like that male energy is needing its flowers. There needs to be less bashing and more compassion, more empathy, and trying to get to the roots of the problem and why we have been perpetuating this cycle of enabled, coddled men who have no sense of self-reflection or self-accountability. And same goes with the women. It's like we don't have accountability a lot of times either. We still feel like the victims, and that goes for the men as well. There's so many things within us as men, black men and women, that we have to go deep into, and without trying to deflect and point the finger, because that's one of the main things I noticed during the mass awakenings, that it went straight to exiling of the black male. And it's like, oh, it's my nigga, it's my dude, it's my yada yada yada, it's him. And a lot of it was that, and a lot of women had to leave situations or let their man go through breakdowns so they can have their breakthrough. But there's always two sides of a story, two sides of a coin. And we have to be able to wholeheartedly address all the issues, and so we can actually get to the healing. And that's kind of all I want to say for now. As always, keep God first. Peace, love, light, and healing energies. I love you guys. Peace out.